just sounds like so much fun. You walk in, all you hear is games, you just want to play them.
This young lady came up to me and she said, "Sir, are there other places in the world that have big games like this?" She called it a big, she was like maybe 16, 17-year-old high school student, and she's like, "I've never seen big games like this. Are there other places?" And I'm like, yes. All the games that you have at home on your PlayStation and your Xbox, all that was born from big games like this.
I like just seeing how different they are and how they've changed.
The perceptions of arcades. People don't understand. Some people don't understand what arcades are anymore. They'll go to Walmart, they'll go to or Dave and Buster's, and that's their idea of how either an arcade is. But games themselves are evolving. But I see more of these kind of locations being more prevalent, with the inclusion of retro gaming, the old arcade, machines and stuff like that, keeping them around.
I believe in 10 years from now, when you go to an arcade, which I believe are still popping up every day right now, when you walk into an arcade, you would see a lot of what you see in our place here, which is we're real heavy on the 90s. 90s is the new 80s. And that's the thing that a lot of people still don't get. 90s are real playable. A lot of the franchises like Simpsons, Ninja Turtles, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all these things are still relevant today. You have to buy the games and display the games that people would be engaged with for hours on end. That's the key, is finding what from today is related to what from the past and try to bridge that gap for people.
So obviously we're going to have our open hours. I'm assuming that you're asking about the extra hours, right? I'll stay here repricing, doing some reorganizing, price comparing during that time. That just takes, there's pretty much not enough time in the day to do pretty much all this stuff, like by yourself.
I've got games here in this building that I've put in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 hours in, and I still can't get it to work. So it just sits there until I have more time to just go and give it more time. These are all the things that I would check. Anytime there's a problem, I just start tracing wires and go through the whole thing. Joysticks and buttons all day long. I can get brand new ones from 10 different companies for 10 different prices, whatever. The hardest thing is the motherboard and the monitor. So there's certain games, this is gonna sound weird, but it's true. There's certain games that the motherboard by itself would cost you more to buy than the whole machine of the same exact game. So here's an example. One time I bought a Street Fighter 3 arcade game. I bought it for $1,000. And then I needed one time for a client. I looked on eBay, are there any motherboards available? The cheapest one was $1,200. So they bought a board for $1,200. Within that same 30 days, or 30 days prior, technically, I bought a whole machine for $1,000.
Gaming is kind of like a stock market, so some things fluctuate, some things go down in price depending on availability.
One of the things that I do actually is I do travel and I help people establish an arcade. And so my goal is I want to help you, I want to guide you. Even if you don't buy games from me, I want to help you to plan what you're going to buy, because you need to buy the right stuff. $1 million doesn't help you make the arcade succeed. If you go to the arcade store, wherever that is, and you buy random games that fit your budget, but it has nothing to do with the people, you're going to lose. You're going to fail. You buy all the wrong games, which is possible. I've seen people do it. They buy all the wrong games, they set it all up, they dump hundreds of thousands of dollars in to start something, and 6 months later they fold and they're selling it all for pennies on the dollar, and guys like me go in and buy it all.
If we get people in here, how can I say, it's like instant friendship for the person that comes and plays like the game that comes next to you. You wouldn't find that playing at your house.
And you have a generation now that only knows about the home console. They don't realize it's a social thing. It's a different experience to come to a place where there's 100 people all enjoying games together all at the same time. And you play with a stranger, you meet a person you never met, you can get advice from somebody, you can give advice to somebody. So there's a whole community that is built because of the arcade games and because of the consoles, all merged together in one venue. Community is one of the most basic needs of humanity, right? We all were born to need to belong somewhere, somehow, to some kind of group. Whether it's a family that you have at home or your family of friends, there's some community that you need. And so if you have a true community that exists in person, those bonds and those friendships, they'll last longer than your your superficial ones that may exist online or somewhere else that you can't get into a deep relationship with.